Hey, welcome to another edition of Tracing Masterpieces. In this video, we'll be looking at the Faber-Castell Artist Ink Pens and investigating why I think these are the best pens you can use to create art. I'm not joking around here. These are pretty good. Let's check them out. So in the interest of full disclosure, I paid for these with my own funds. All the opinions are my own and nobody is reviewing or approving this video before it was uploaded. So let's take a closer look at this Artist Ink Pens by Faber-Castell. First, we'll look at the product boxing or packaging and see what's so great about it. It could give you a clue as to the company, their kind of mindset. You'll notice that it's basically plastic box, very neutral color of green, very nice. It's pleasing to look at. It's not outlandish or anything like that. It's very square and I like that. It has a photo of all four pens that are included in the package, and I'll get into more detail as to the differences between all of them. It has information on the back regarding the characteristics of the pen, such as it has a maximum light fastness, which means that it dries very quickly. It's also waterproof, it's permanent, it's odorless, acid-free, and has a pH neutral value. So if you look on each pen, they have letters that correspond to the different sizes. You have B for the brush pen, which has a 1 to 5 millimeter thickness, and it has a range there because it acts like a brush. The nib is flexible, so depending on how you use it, angle it, pressure, the thickness changes. Then for the M size, which stands for medium, it has a 0.7 millimeter thickness. Then we drop down to the F size, which is a fine size, and it has a 0.5 millimeter thickness. Drop down even further to the S size, which stands for superfine, and it has a thickness of 0.3 millimeters. Okay, so that's covers the basic types of pens that you get in this product. So let's open it up and take a closer look at the actual pens. You just gotta slide this out and then they come out here just like that. You get 4 pens. And here you have them. So as you may have seen, I've already tried these pens out and created artwork with them. You can see here on the left. Pretty nice. Here's the brush pen. When we open it up, you can see that the tip is very wide and has a variable thickness to it. It's very flexible too. It has some firmness to it, but it's a little bendy. Now this is more firm nib to it. This is the thickest nib that is not as flexible, the medium size. And you can see the lettering on the end of it right there, okay? I like how it's very just a normal pen size. It's not thick, it's not thin. And you could also attach the cap to the end of it, just like that. So let's take a look at using these pens. Here is the brush pen, and this has a variable line thickness depending on how you angle it or how much pressure you use. If you use a light pressure, it's very thin, and notice how the ink flows very easily. If I press harder, it becomes thicker, and you could adjust the thickness. You could go on the side like that. And I use this kind of fill in larger areas, larger details. For instance, like in this image, it has a lot of space, dark spaces around there you could see. And I used the brush pen for that. You can see on this image over here that I have a lot of darker spaces around here, broader shapes. and I try to use the brush pen to fill in those areas. It makes filling in larger spaces a lot easier when you have something that you could use more broadly like that. And you could go over the same line and it dries the same consistency, so that's good. There is no bleed through, as you can see from the back here. It doesn't bleed through, and this is just a normal, printer, piece of printer paper. This paper is a little thicker, just some scrap paper that I had. Now if we go step down to the next size, the medium size, let's take a look at this. Now the nib won't be as flexible, so the size stays the same throughout the entire drawing. I've used these, so as you saw, sometimes they can get a little dry, but it comes back like that. As you can see, I've been using it for a while, as you saw. And that's how that looks, as you can see. But yeah, as you see, it does dry out a bit after a lot of use. That's okay. You just kind of work it in. And it says that you need to store them horizontally. I assume that's so the ink gets distributed evenly throughout the pen, and so that it's not just flowing all out the end, So that's what it suggests, to store them horizontally. So this is the medium size. Maybe we could zoom in a bit. There we go. Still using the medium size. The quicker you go, the thinner it might look. And if you go a little slowly, it's slightly thicker there. Let's step down to the next size, which is fine, the fine size. As you can see, it's a little more small, a little thinner to it. I'll draw it next to this line. So you can see it's slightly thinner than the other one. And let's step down to the superfine, see how that one looks. And I'll draw it next to the other one, just so that you can see. About the same speed. And you can see it's slightly thinner. So there is a difference in the thickness, as you can tell. And also if you go, really quickly like that, then it gets really thin. That's like as thin as you can get for an ink pen, pretty much, I would say. So you can do like some hatching work, cross hatching, to get different shading techniques. If you want to incorporate different ways of shading like that. I personally like using the very superfine one because it allows you to draw a lot of interesting details very easily. And then you can kind of like build up the lines a bit. But it's up to you on what you choose to use. You You go medium size for like broader, thicker stuff, and then use the smaller size and build off of that. Here's the thicker brush. So yeah, let's take a closer look at some of the art that I created. You can see here that these pens allow you to create a lot of interesting detail. As you can see here, this is all ink, all using these pens. So a lot is possible with these pens. You can get some great results. Very nice. Here's some birds. Human birds. I also want to mention that I bought these from the Michaels store, which is a local store that's nearby, and it's basically the closest one that we have available around here that allows us to purchase art supplies. And I used a 50% off coupon, so I bought these for around $8 with the coupon, and that comes to roughly about $2 per ink pen. So you can determine whether that is a good cost or not. Definitely, if you can, look for the coupons. If you choose to buy from Michael's store, they usually always have a coupon available. So there you have it, the Faber-Castell Artist Ink Pens for use of creating your art and illustrations. As you can see, you can get some good results with a lot of different details and characteristics using the various line thicknesses, as well as the brush pen that gives you the broader strokes. So I think they're great. It dries quickly, the value is very consistent. You get the dark blacks, doesn't bleed through, it's very clean and easy to use. So I highly recommend it. I'll continue suggesting them, and I'll continue using them. So this is the review of the Faber-Castell Artist Ink Pens. Hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. These things will help convince YouTube to push this channel. If you'd like to support us in other ways, you can make a donation at our Patreon page by going to tracingmasterpieces.com/support for more information. I'd like to thank This Is Abusive for the $20 contribution. I'd also like to thank Zarknark for their $10 contributions. And I'd also like to thank my $5 contributors as well. And lastly, if you'd like to join our Discord server, you can go to tracingmasterpieces.com/discord.